Everybody loves Pop-Tarts, right? Well, maybe not when you were that close to something much better. Cane's live right here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you being here. It's a Wednesday night. That means Cam's here right next to me talking Miami football with all of you. So Cam Underwood, State of the U, of course, that's your spot each and every day. And Cam, of course, decked out as he always is, proud and in the green and orange and green. I don't know what the
orange and green and white, but
supposed to be orange, green, and white. Perfect.
Absolutely.
How you doing tonight?
I'm great, and just a reminder for everybody that comes from the orange tree. So the green are the leaves, the orange is the fruit, and the white are the flowers. So that's where the color scheme came from. But yeah, I am good. I am excited to be here. Not necessarily. Sorry, just it's been a good day in the life of Cam Underwood. So I'm jovial in general. So hey, you guys see me sometimes when I haven't been necessarily so happy. It's just been a good day. That's it. The end.
Good.
So yeah, now following into Mark's well-crafted segue that I bulldozed over going in a different direction. Yeah, Pop-Tarts are fine, but it's a letdown,
of course,
to have that be where we're going for the bowl season and everything. I said it on here for weeks, guys, especially when we lost to Georgia Tech. Every game from then on was single elimination playoffs, just like this playoff bracket is, meaning if you lose once, you are out. We lost once in the single elimination period of the year, and we're out. So I don't agree with it. I mean, Clemson won the ACC championship game, so that stole the bid that would have been there potentially. It's asinine to believe or to argue that Alabama should have been in over any 10-2 team, especially Miami. Like, I know that what they're doing is they're the people who create the metrics of evaluation and saying, okay, well, this is what happened with teams over 500. What happened to teams 500 or worse? So if you did better against the better teams, that means you did worse against the worst teams. And all of a sudden, but that is and that's part of the conversation that you need to have, right? So if you're saying Alabama was 6-1 against teams with a winning record, which excluded 6-6 teams. Wonder why they did that, right? Because you lost at Vanderbilt and got blown out. You got your doors blown off by the worst Alabama or Oklahoma team in 50 years. But you don't want to talk about that, so we say, okay, over. So then look at the other side against teams who weren't as good. Then you had worse performance. No, we're just going to kind of put that in the closet. It's like the quick cleaning that you did as a kid when you didn't really want to clean your room. You just threw everything in the closet and closed the door. So yeah, that to me was asinine. That's why I didn't really I pump faked going on a rant last week like 4 or 5 times, and I didn't because I was really super pissed about it. This is pre-Clemson winning the ACC championship game, obviously. But yeah, it's a bitter pill to swallow, man. You have so many great things this year. You have the number 1 offense in America. You have Cam Ward, who's everybody's All-American, Heisman Trophy finalist, ACC overall and Offensive Player of the Year, rewrote the passing record books in Miami in terms of yards, in terms of touchdowns, in terms of total touchdowns, because he ran for 4 and caught 1 also. You did, and even from the summer, we talked about this was a push your chips to the center season. This is all in, right? And you come up snake eyes, man. And I know people are going to say, well, Cam, if you go and win the Pop-Tarts Bowl, that's the first time with 11 wins since 2003, and yada, 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 and all of these things. And there is a measure of success with that, and that is laudable accomplishment. But when you spend the money that was spent and you build the team to compete and contend for championships, plural, conference, national, and you don't even have the opportunity to play for any championships, that cannot be anything but an unmitigated failure. I'm sorry. What is the difference between 8-4 and this? Going to a bowl game with a chance to have some momentum? Not much. Honestly, now it's more of a step forward. Mark, you love your teams going +3 or -3 on wins. Already did that. So that's a major change in a positive direction. I'm not saying the sky is falling. I'm not saying that it's all bad, but in terms of and this is what I was talking about with roster building last week, keeping the standard, right? And if we've said all year, rightly, this is a team that should contend for championships, and you don't even play for the ACC championship and are eliminated from the college football championship playoffs, that's disappointing. I'm sorry. But you go into the bowl. We've already heard Damian Martinez is going to play. I don't think that there was ever a doubt that Restrepo would play. One that I would maybe see, but maybe it's a good locker room kind of fit, is Elijah Arroyo, only because he's had multiple injuries in his career. That's the one where I'm like, but he's going to play. Cam Ward went on FaceTime with Shedeur Sanders and somebody else. I don't even know who the other player was, but is saying that he is probably going to play in the bowl game. That is good. I mean, there's no other way to put it, where you have, if you're at full strength for this team, minus some transfer portal guys, but no one who is really super impactful. I hate it to say. Talent, there's a couple talented people, but you're not losing half or 3/5 of your starting offensive line or anything like that. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I'm obviously going to root for Miami to get to 11 wins and win another game, because I always want Miami to win, but it's still a bitter pill to swallow that we didn't accomplish the goals that we had in front of us this year.
So I did some ±3 work while you were talking there, because that's just how my brain works, that I had to immediately get on that, because I'll be working on that here soon. Off the top of my head, and I'm pretty good about remembering records from year to year. In the ACC, Miami from 7-5 to 10-2. So just to let everyone know that you're not keeping pace. I determined years ago that a significant change in record from year to year, this is just arbitrary, is 3 wins, either on the plus side or the minus side. So in the ACC, there were 4 teams that hit this criteria. Miami went from 7-5 regular season to 10-2. Syracuse went from 4-8 to 9-3. Pitt went from 3-9 to 7-5. Of course, they were 7-0, lost the last 5, but still increased from 3 to 7. And then on the downside, our friends at Florida State from 12 to 2. Now that's a cliff. Woo! That's unprecedented.
But again, try to tell you, they had a mercenary squad last year, and that was a damn good mercenary. Look, you bring in mercenaries, you want it to be what they did last year, honestly and truly. But I'm trying to tell you, look, I didn't expect it was going to be 2. I didn't expect that. I'm not going to sit here and say that I told you that. But I did tell you that they were going to fall off once that mercenary squad wasn't there and Jordan Travis wasn't covering for a lot of the deficiencies of that program. And whoo, buddy.
Yeah, it is ugly. It is ugly, and they're going to be scrambling to make it back to anything respectable next year. They've got a few year climb to get back, you would think. And this is in a day and age of quick fixes, where that's possible. But yeah, Falconer TRX, Miami beat Florida and Florida State, but I don't love this season.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like it would have been crazy to say that, and maybe somebody even did way back when. I don't have that full recall, but yeah, from the springtime, summertime of that being those 2 things being true. Well, 3 things if you count the individual game results, but like beating both rivals and having a season that didn't meet muster. But when you are a championship team, a championship talented caliber team, and are performing like it, and even in those close wins, right? That is championship caliber, because I've heard that about random SEC team here for years. Hey, they had a couple close calls. They found a way to get through. That's the championship caliber of a Nick Saban, of a Georgia, of a da-da-da-da. So and that's what I said on here. I said, that's the mark of a championship caliber team. You win your clunkers, you find a way, and you get it done. And Miami did that time and time and time again with the number one offense in the country. And then you play Georgia Tech, which is a different, they're basically running triple option. That's what it is. It's dressed up differently than the Paul Johnson wishbone. But if you look at the scheme that they employ, you're facing a triple option offense, right? That's different. It's difficult because of, communication, alignment, assignment, and execution, which we all saw falter. And the offense had its worst day of the year, out or underperformed, projection so bad, and just was dog doo-doo on money downs. So you have all those things together. Okay, you lose that one, and you're up 21-0 at Syracuse, and then you decide you just let that game slip away. And I get why, because he's been such a consummate Miami Hurricane through his career that he's not being truly excoriated for this right now. But consecutive weeks with fumbles from Xavier Restrepo, including the fumble that was returned for a touchdown. If that were Jacoby George, if that were, I'm going to bring back some names from the past. If that was like an analogous, well, that is analogous to the performance of Robert Knowles. You remember him on defense? The mentions, everybody, everywhere, on everything that I tweeted, on everything that is written on the website, he would just be getting flamed. And nobody's saying anything about that. But that's your Biletnikoff Award semifinalist. That's your career leader in receptions and yards at the University of Miami. This is a guy who's been here for 5 years and been a top level performer. This is a guy who's probably going to be a top 75 NFL draft pick, if not higher, right? All of this from this player at the top of the roster, one of the ones that you lean on to do things like catch that tunnel screen, fight through 3 defenders, get that first down, keep the ball moving, keep the clock ticking, all of those things. This is the first time I've heard me saying it. It's the first time I've heard anybody negatively really bring that up. Obviously, he's a scholarship athlete and it's not the same, but that's a fireable offense, man. If you're like, hey, the defensive coordinator called a bad play here, or what, that's a bro. But those things happen. So all of that in the same year, going back to the beginning of the soliloquy of beating Florida and Florida State, and then losing to another freaking triple option Georgia Tech team, and then pissing away a 3-touchdown lead at Syracuse. Now I know they had a touchdown called back on the first drive. Okay, that happened, and it was the right call, by the way. But regardless of what they had called back, and you're still up 21-0. Bro, you got to win that game, and you didn't. And I think all that together, plays into what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. It felt good to win 10 games. Feels good to have an opportunity to win 11 on the year and everything. But again, when you go all in on a championship contending caliber season, right? Look, I know Florida State got screwed out of the playoffs last year, but they went 13-0 and won the ACC championship game. They pushed their chips to the middle, did everything along that path. Unfortunately, Jordan Travis's leg snapped. But if we're comparing apples to apples, they got more out of their mercenary team than Miami did. And don't necessarily love it.
It also depends on how you arrive at 10-2. So the expectations are the expectations. And when you've got a team this talented, however you arrive at 10-2 and just miss the playoffs, that's what it is. But if they got off to a bad start, let's say they started 4-2. So after 6 games, you're resigned to this isn't going to happen. We blew it. And then you rally to 10-2 and make the best of it. That's different than you're up 21-0 the last game of the year to go to the ACC championship game and reach all your goals. And 2 hours later.
Right. And 2 hours later, Fran Brown is celebrating and, I told Dabo and, it was the great value version of what Mel Tucker said when Michigan State beat Miami a few years ago, of basically they're not built like that. So we're going to take them into the deep end of the ocean and watch them drown because we're Spartans, and we're going to. Fran Brown had like the discount version of that speech. Yeah, he was like, they're not like that, and like he made similar statements of basically Miami's not built like that. We know what we got. We know who we are. Even down 21-0, da 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 da. Everything going wrong. Everything on fire. Smooth, easy street. We're sailing. We're cruising. Right. And I told Dabo and, calling that, oh, yeah, Clemson this and da 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 da. Feels like shit, man. So, I get why I don't love it because, this 10-2 with this season, with this team would have been a failure. I predicted 11-1. I said you absolutely bare bones minimum have to get to the ACC championship game and to the college football playoff. Once we got Cam Ward, those were my firm expectations. You can go back on stateoftheu.com and look it up. You can go back and watch the shows from before the season. I said that. And you fall short of all of that. Even with wins in the bag against both rivals in that 10, there are other things that leave a sour taste in the mouth from the season.